Welcome, welcome, welcome to Health, Wealth, and Miracles. Finding out solutions from life's problems through people's testimonies. For you see, this holy book, my favorite book, has the Holy Spirit flowing all the way through it. All the way through it. Entering into my heart, entering into your heart, creating the dreams and the plans that God has for each and every one of us. And today we have Monique Carden here to help give her testimony so you can learn solutions and overcome where she's been. Take care now, and Monique, it's good to have you here.
Thank you, Dr. Jan. It's nice to be here, and thank you for asking me to come on.
Yeah, so, explain to us when you were young, when you were old. We've all made mistakes. We all begin somewhere. So what happened in your youth, and how did your youth go?
Well, not so much of what happened, but where did it go? I would say it brought me back to the church. I guess I would go with where it brought me, and
okay,
that's
so
back
you
to the
started
church.
in the church. So explain how you started in the church.
Okay, I started from my parents' guidance, being raised in the church from my grandmother, doing Pentecostal Seventh-day Adventist, and then to the Seventh-day Adventist religion itself, the church, and then from there, I was out of the church for a while due to the fact that my parents had divorced, and then I returned back into the church again when my mother became remarried, and I was still going to church. So did that divorce, was that the main reason you turned away from the church a little bit? Usually when you're a child, you're going to you have to follow the parents' pathway, so yes, that's definitely what would happen for me. That's what happened to me, yeah.
And when did you come back into the church then again?
I came back into the church when I was about 10, 11, something like that. We came back into the church, and we were stationed in Bermuda, I remember, and U.S. territory, and we went to Seventh-day Adventist Church while we were there on the island.
So explain how Bermuda is.
Well, if you could picture an island having sand that is pink. Of course, it's not actually the natural, but this is the part that really got my eye. That it had a pink sand, and there was nothing but islands. So you were going to learn to swim all the time. You got to swim all the time, and the weather was nice all year round, and there was no snow. And they didn't do baseball and football, but they did cricket matches during the time when I was there.
Excellent. So how does the Seventh-day Adventist Church compare to there and here?
There really isn't any big difference at all, Dr. Jan. As a matter of fact, it's the same as it would be if you were in the States.
That's really neat. That's really neat. So after you left Bermuda, you came here?
Yeah, we came back to Chicago for maybe a semester, because usually the way we traveled was by our semesters by the time we were in school, and when we were out of school we were going somewhere else. And then from there, let's see, I think we went to El Paso. No, we weren't in El Paso, I take that back. El Paso was before we went to Bermuda, but we did go to Chicago, and from Chicago we came into California.
Okay, so when you were away from the church, you were still talking to God at the same time, because you were already a believer.
Well, yes, definitely.
So would you like to share how
God
that happened?
definitely was in the picture, definitely. I know possibly through grace, through probably Bible in the home. Definitely there were thoughts, and because of the family knew, and they were involved in the church, it would reflect upon us to have, different touch base from it.
Okay, so even though you were away from the church for a while, you still read the Bible.
Oh, yes, of course, we had Bibles in the home.
So what were some of your favorite verses in the Bible?
Oh, goodness gracious. I think one of my favorites was John 3:16, for God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, whosoever believeth in him should not perish.
Okay.
Another one, John 11:35, Jesus wept.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it's one that I'll
too.
always keep in mind. It's simple, it's 2 words, but yes, I remember that. And the Lord is my shepherd, Psalms 23.
Oh, okay, okay.
And early teenage years, a little bit later, in my 20s, I'm beginning to like Luke, the 10th chapter, I think, the 40th through the 47th verse, I think, the story of Mary and Martha, Lazarus, and how
And
Jesus
why was
tells
that
her.
one so meaningful?
Because it's the story of the sisters. I have a sister, and the story that one sister was so upset about the other sister not doing the work that she was having to do.
Okay,
And
so-
how Jesus consoled her and told her,
Oh, wow.
let's always remember that the good things cannot be taken away from her.
That is so true. That is
Yeah.
so true. So you then left Chicago?
We're in California now.
You're in California now.
All the way back in California
Okay,
now.
okay.
And I'm getting ready to graduate from high school from Sacramento. And I'm going to get a chance to go back to Los Angeles where I was born. And this is where
But what
I
high
started.
school did you go to here?
I went to Highlands High.
Okay.
And then from there, I went to Sac City. That's my first college I went to here in Sacramento. And while I'm in college, I get a call from my father. My real father, he calls me on the phone, and in no time flat, I'm moving back to LA. And I'm going to stay with my aunt under the understanding with my mother, knowing that I've gotten in touch with my father, who was still in the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
Okay.
And she would be overseeing and making sure that I would be going to church on Sabbath.
Okay, now, I thought I heard you mention you had a stepfather, but your real father called.
Yeah, he calls and I leave.
So you left.
Yeah.
So with your stepfather, that's when you sort of got out of the Seventh-day Church. Is that true?
Kind of, sort of, but I'm going to get back in the church again because I'm going to be living with my mother's sister.
Okay, okay.
So, and her husband and her daughter. And they go to church, they go to the Seventh-day Adventist Church. So yes, I'm going to be going back to the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
And where
that
are
way.
you? Are you in LA there?
I'm in
then?
LA right now. Yes,
You're
during
in LA
that time.
right now?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, I'm
so
in
take
LA.
me on
Yeah,
from there.
All right, so she worked for a television station too.
Oh, she does?
She
Which
did.
one?
At that time, she did.
Okay.
I think it was Channel 11, one of those channels. But there was a show that was a dance show, and I was one of the dancers on the show.
You were a dancer?
Yes,
Oh.
I was a dancer, and that takes me into a later part of my life that I'm able to reflect on that and do an entertainment.
How did you become a dancer?
How did I become a dancer?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I was just thinking about that on the way here. I did not have any experience as far as being a dancer because we
Okay.
traveled, and music was just music at that time, and the only music I was hearing was not my music, but it was the music on the radio.
You were hearing world music.
Yeah. So I was kind of like imitating that music, and I don't know. I got a little bit more curious, and then I got the opportunity to dance on the show. So I got a chance to imitate and dance with the other dancers and dance like them. So I was on the show.
how long did that last?
It didn't get a chance to last as long as I wanted it to, I'm afraid. My aunt had thought that this was taking away from me to be more focused on really what a real life was supposed to be as to the life of an entertainer. So she thought, maybe you shouldn't do that anymore. So I had to let it
So
go.
what happened from then after you left dancing?
I don't think it ever left me. I think deep down inside, I still
You
wanted
still
to do
wanna
it.
be a dancer?
Yeah, I still wanted to do something in
Is there a
entertainment.
way you can still use that?
There was a way I did use it.
Oh, how did you use it?
Yeah, I did it as an entertainer, and I traveled for a little bit as an entertainer.
Where did you travel to?
Ooh, I went outside of the United States one more time. I go to Guam,
Guam,
and I
okay.
went to Alaska, and Hawaii.
Were you with a certain group? Or
No,
a
I was
dance-
my own. I was on my own. I had a contract with a agent, and
So you'd go there and dance by yourself?
Yes,
Oh, wow.
and I had my own music and my own costumes.
Oh, wow. Do you still have samples of those?
No, I don't keep them because, it just wasn't necessary. And I think they really weren't the kind of pictures or the kind of
That you wanted
dancing
other
that you
people to
wanted to
see.
know.
Oh,
Right,
oh,
exactly.
okay, I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah.
after dancing,
So after dancing, we're going to go ahead and we're going to have to say, this isn't the life for me. This isn't right. This
okay,
isn't
now
going
what
to be
made
healthy.
you make that decision?
Uh,
Something happened.
The company you keep,
Yes?
the partying,
Yes.
You have your alcohol and you have your substance abuse going on, so it's not healthy. It's not healthy, and it's in the 70s. In the 70s, it was pretty rambunctious. If it was then,
those were bad years.
Now it's then, it was there too. And I had a brief tragedy with my health, and I lost a child.
Oh,
so this is like you really have to look at your life and you have to say, where is it going? Where is it going to get me? Am I going to get out of this? Because I'm just so sad. So I struggled.
When you were going through this struggle, what were the main things of the Word that got you out of this struggle? Was there a certain thing?
I always knew I could go back, but I didn't want to make the move to go back into the church. I knew the church was still a part of me, and as I have to believe now, if what I'm understanding is that He will always take you back. He will always accept you for what you do.
That's so true.
Reading about Paul, how he constantly let the people know the things I've done that were wrong are the things that I want to tell you that you can do no wrong if you want to come back to Christ. So in my heart, I felt that there was a way that God was going to make it possible for me to come back and tell my story to help others understand that it's never too late.
It's never too, you're right. So how are you telling your story now? Tell me how you've gone past those years, and tell me the stories you're doing now.
All right. Well, I am working on a book.
Oh, explain the book.
That I would like to write about, and I would like to let it have more of a Christ-like, kind of a Christ-like theme to it. Not only do I want to tell the story of what happened to me, but I do want to make sure that I'm mentioning the fact that Christ had a lot to do with it at the same time.
Okay, now you have a love of dance. Is there a way you could incorporate dance into telling your story so you can share it with people?
Because of the entertainment side of what it involved, possibly not a lot, but I do know that I had kept my Bible with me while I was on the road. That might be a story or two involved there. There may be a couple of instances of a particular experience I experienced.
What are some of those experiences?
When someone had met me and they said, wherever you came from, your people, they raised you well. We can tell that you have some type of an influence of something that is good.
Beautiful.
And that was one experience. And then another one was that I had my Bible in my room, and how I had met some people from the wrong side of town. And they felt very uncomfortable about being with me because I would keep the Bible open at all times. Even if I didn't read it, I would always keep that Bible open.
So even though you had your Bible there, you were sort of hanging out with the wrong people.
Yes.
How did that affect your life at that time? Because you knew you wanted to pull away.
You know, I'm going to wonder sometimes when you have God with you and you know about Him, He knows about you, He's going to look out for you.
That's true.
And I do believe He looked out for me well enough that when the hardships started coming down really bad in Alaska, that when I came back home, He brought me back home. He was the one that brought me back home safe.
Do you want to say anything about those hardships at that time? Or?
Well, I had lost a child, like I had told you, and that was kind of like a very hard experience to understand. And it's taken me a long time to forgive myself, because you have to forgive yourself to accept God's forgiveness.
How long did it take for you to forgive yourself?
I look at it now when I do celebrate recovery and when I talk to others. I feel that I'm growing to understand more and more of how much more forgiveness that I can provide to myself, because I'm understanding more of what happened during that time.
Oh, that's excellent. You need to write your book. Exactly what do you plan on putting in the book so it's going to benefit and give solutions to other people, learn from what you've gone through?
Yeah, I want to talk about the family. and how to always know that sometimes there are things that can happen in the family's part that can deter you or make you perhaps doubt, question, how is this going to happen? What's going to happen for me if this is what's going on in the family? And how do I go and get help? Who do I ask for help? Where do I get that help? And I want to tell them about how I went into the church, again, questioning where was it going to happen for me? And then how I had to understand also there were two sides to my story. I was going to have to understand my character, what had happened to me, what I had done, and how I was going to stay well, and how I wasn't going to go into the wrong place again.
You've got a beautiful story to tell. I can't wait for you to read. I can't wait to read your book.
Thank you.
You know, no, people need to hear your story.
Thank you.
And I want to hear it a little bit in more detail. What are the main 2 or 3 things, besides family, that you've learned from your experiences that you can put in your book?
Oh, well, that's something I was thinking about today. Sometimes in life you have people in your life that are toxic.
That's true.
Terribly toxic. And how you work with that to understand yourself, because sometimes we can be very difficult. They're difficult, we're difficult. So through our love for ourselves, we have to learn how we love them, but we know that we have to guide ourselves away to protect ourselves from them at the same time. And there has to be ways that we teach one another of how we can accept what is bad and how we have to walk the other way.
Right.
And how we stay good and understand that we're not so perfect either.
And
so how do
when
we
you were
stay
talking
there?
about toxic people, even sometimes toxic people are in your own family. And you have
Exactly.
And so sometimes you just have to avoid them.
Yes, you
whether
do.
you want to, or maybe just see them once or twice a year.
Yeah, that's exactly. That is exactly what you have to do.
So when you had to do that and know what people to stay away from, exactly how did you handle that so you could still keep a good family gathering when you were together?
I'll tell you, I still have my ups and downs with that.
Okay.
I do not have it perfectly
I think we all do.
written out. No, I would write a book on that part alone.
Oh, okay.
But that
Go a
will
little
be,
deeper there. I'm going to be learning something from you.
But that will be in this book of what I learned. And as I learned to mature,
right.
There were times that I fell back into the clutches of, I don't know what to do. I did that too. But I had to keep on believing that God is with me and God's going to help me get through this situation, because there were a lot of conflicts that were going on as well.
So we need to know some of those conflicts to help the people.
Well,
also.
I'm going to say accountability comes back to me at my heart first of all.
Okay.
How do we become more responsible after you're after you're dealing with drugs and alcohol, and you got to get back on your feet again. You got to pay your bills on time. You've got to be accountable. You got to get hired on jobs. What do you do as far as filling out your applications when bad things have happened to you? How do you explain to the employer?
How did you do that? How did you do that?
I had family that didn't really throw me under the bus, but they still wanted to hang that little thing. Look what I did. Yeah. Look what I did for you. Or look what she did. But through that helped me understand that there's some things you talk about, some things you don't.
Okay.
Especially in the working world.
Okay.
You know, when it comes that time that you have to explain, then you explain. But there's a certain time in between that doesn't have to be discussed yet until there's that time and that moment. Is there something that we need to know right now?
And so during that time when you do that, is it best to always tell the truth?
Oh, yes. Always tell the truth. I had a job one time, and I had to tell them that I had done something wrong on the other job, and I got the job.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got the job, and I was even commended for being so honest, for the fact that I had made a mistake.
Well, that just goes to show what a sincere, honest person you are.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. That makes people more trust you right now, even though you're looking for And you're doing things higher and bigger now. So you also are working. You're taking care of your mom now too, right?
Right. I do caregiving part-time, and I have other help that helps me do caregiving with her. Yes, I do. I want to go back into counseling for drug and alcohol. I want to get certified to have that experience and knowledge to know that I could step out of anything that I'm doing, and if somebody approaches me, I can get them in the right direction, in the way that it should be.
Right. Have you started that program yet?
Yes, I have been funded to continue my education and then also to take the recertification examination. It's been funded already. The money has been paid. I just need to go ahead and take the test again. I've taken it once, but I'm going to take it again.
Hey, when I became a gemologist, I flunked my first diamond test 2 or 3 times before I could do it. So, it's usually on your second or third try you're gonna make it.
Right.
So I want you to know you're gonna make it.
Yeah, I know I am. And that's.
So how much? When do you take the test again?
Well, I had to go ahead and check that out because I was been going to college because I wanted to go ahead and get my degree to go to the university, transfer to the university in human behavioral studies. And while I was doing that, I kind of put it on hold, but I knew it was extended out to me, and I was able to get the extension. And I talked to the office just this week, and they said they would hold it out till March. So I have that much time until March of 2018 to take the exam.
Okay, so you got to March, you can take it again. And then how soon?
Then I'll be put on a list.
Then you put on a list.
And then I'll be called in for interviews.
And then that way you'll go to work. And what exactly do you want to specialize in?
Well, all this is saying is that I'll be certified to receive clients that will be coming in, and I'll have to understand their medications, what's going on in their cases and their files, and where they need to go, what they need to do on the counseling, and just sort of sit back and listen to them. It's kind of like a entering the phase of counseling.
And I think after you finish your book, that's going to help decide right where the Lord's of the plan is.
Where He wants me to go.
Where He wants you to be.
Exactly.
So can you sort of explain where you think you want to go and where He wants you to go?
I want to just really, Dr. Jan, just help people. That's really what's in my heart.
That's in my heart too.
And
I just want to help people.
It's like I had a lot of people out there that pulled strings for me. Sometimes I took it for granted, sometimes I've forgotten, and sometimes they may come up to me in life and they might remind me.
I really want to help people.
And I'm looking for that. I'm looking like if I can just give it back to somebody. Tell them I understand something about what happened to you because something like that happened to me. And I'm still working on it now. I'm still working to make it right. And maybe I remember something that I owed to somebody or I want to do for somebody because they did something for me.
This is something I found out. If you have made mistakes, you either write a letter, you get on the phone, you call the people, say, I'm sorry I made this mistake. I hope you can forgive me. And then sometimes I'd write a letter and I wouldn't mail it to anybody. I would just write it to get that.
I've done that and dropped it in the mailbox and it wasn't going anywhere.
Hey, but sometimes that's needed.
So I have done that.
That's why I like to have people write a letter or just color to calm you down so you get your mind off of what you're going through.
Right, yes, definitely.
So explain other ways how you want to help the people. And when do you think your book will be done? I'm not trying to ask too many questions at the same time.
No problem. I've done some manuscripts. I've contacted publishers. I have one up and running right now, a publisher calling me, and I think this has been going on for like about 4 years now. So it's like I've got the paperwork. I just need to just sit down and put it together. I've got some networking going on with some people that are willing to help right now too. But it's just all about you got to take that time that I don't have right now. And I've just got to just do it.
Okay, I just found out there's a company called Kingdom Tapes. They just did mostly microphones and movies and films that are all religious baited. But now they have a publishing company. And I just found this out recently myself.
Well, you're going to have to let me know about that later.
It's called Kingdom Tapes. You might want to look them up.
Okay.
So how much further before you're going to finish the book? And then I still want you to finish the plan is you think is for yourself and what the plan is that God has for you. It's helping other people, I know that. But
Yeah, and specifically, I like missionary work. I did my missionary.
oh, you would like to be a missionary?
Yes.
Monique, this has been indeed a pleasure.
Thank you
indeed
so
a
much,
pleasure.
Dr. Jan.
And I'm so glad that we got to hear all of your story. And,
Well, thank you.
And you've been through, I know you're going to help a lot of people. I just know that from the bottom of my heart.
I'm hoping to, definitely.
Yeah, just from the bottom of my heart.
Yes.
And so I want to thank Monique for being here. And I want to just let you know the last Friday of every month I give workshops on health, wealth, and miracles from 6:30 to 8:30. If you're interested, also turn to Channel 18 on Monday evenings at 6 o'clock on health, wealth, and miracles. And Monique, this has been such a good, enjoyable talk and interview. And I know your book's going to be a success.
Thank you.
If you can try and get that book finished before you graduate, I think that's going to be a big help that you can add in there too. I know you're going to help many, many people.
Thank you.
I want to thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
Thanks
too.
a lot.
All right.
You know, this has been a great interview, but you have that one question that still is in my mind. You want to be a missionary. So are you willing to go anywhere in the world? Are you willing to, what can you do and what will you do? And
All right. Well, you know, I would like to meet these people that we look every day on Sabbath School on the video screen and 360.org. I'd like to be along with those people. I'd like to visit them. I'd like to share with them their experiences, and I'd like to give them just who I am, you know, anything that I can do to help. I'd like to just travel. Yes, I would. I'd like to continue to write stories and books as I travel, because I feel that these stories might be able to help these people at the same time, because of that, what I'm learning from them, I can share with others, and it would be hands-on.
so you're willing to travel anywhere
Yes.
when you know what he's called you to do.
Yes, yes.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yes,
That's
definitely.
excellent.
Yes.
Yes. So what country, if you're called to go, do you think you might go to?
Oh my goodness. If I were going to choose a country to go to, I've already been to Europe. I haven't touched base, I haven't set feet in Africa yet, but I would like to go there. I believe China, Japan. I would go to Australia. I would go anywhere that the Lord would lead me to go. If He said, this is what I think you can do right now, and I'm healthy enough to do it too, then yes, definitely, I'd like to go.
That sort of sounds like a Mother Teresa a little bit.
No, all right, all right, all right. My grandmother, she loved to share. In her real good days, she loved to feed the poor. She loved to give more of herself to others than to take in for herself. And I remember that about her. Maybe that's something that touched base with me, because I saw that this was okay to be around strangers and to be kind to them as long as they're going to hurt you.
Yeah, I was raised in a military family, and I found out it doesn't matter what race or nationality, anybody, we're all people. If
That's
someone
right.
hits you with a hammer on the head, it's going to hurt.
Exactly.
And so we need to learn to treat people to be more peaceful.
Exactly.
So thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you
again.
again. All right.
And please join us at
All right.
Health, Wealth, and Miracles. Thank you. God bless. See you next week.